Should you pull for Leonora? I'm gonna do something different. I normally would start with her attacks, but for her kit specifically, I'm gonna actually start with the buffs and debuffs. So these are her buffs of note. Troyan Teachings will give party last stand, as well as party HP regen by 10% of the max HP. Hidden Thoughts will give party HP heals up by 20%. Here is why I'm starting off with the buffs first. This is Epop's Blessing, her overhead effect. It will first store value by incoming HP recovery from the party, and the value limit will be Leonora's HP cap. So if you raise her HP cap, you're gonna raise the value of her overhead. Finally, Leonora's overhead will revive KO'd allies at the start of the turn to 50% of max HP and consume the stored value. Now let's get to her attacks. Under Training, her skill 1 is an instant turn rate move that FR charges, granting the party brave by 30% of the own max brave, fully healing the party, extending active party buffs by 1 turn, and granting Troyan Teachings for 8 turns. Flare will trigger after her own turn if her HP is at least max. It will grant the party brave by 80% of her own max brave, and then it will deal 1 AoE HP attack based on 150% of the stored value from her overhead, Epop's Blessing. And finally, this follow-up will not consume any brave. Holy, her skill 2 deals 5 split HP attacks, granting party brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, healing the party by 50% of the HP damage dealt up to 20% of max HP, and granting Troyan Teachings for 8 turns. Particle Bomb, her EX, will first heal the party by 30% of the max HP, allowing overheal by 20%. Then it will deal 7 split HP attacks, increasing her brave by 50% of the HP damage dealt, increasing her skill 2 used by 1, and granting Hidden Thoughts for 6 turns. A Little Black Magic, her LD, it's very simple. 3 AoE HP attacks based on 200% of the stored value from Epop's Blessing. This will also not consume any brave. Merge Cast, her FR, will heal the party by 80% of the max HP. And finally, we get to her BT, Infinity. It will last 8 turns, granting a party max HP up by 30%, party HP cap up by 30%, and it will double the value limit of Epop's Blessing. And with her BT active, you're not going to consume any value from her overhead. Once it hits max, it's gonna stay there the whole time. Leonora's force conditions: you get a 40% when having an overhead, and another 40% when the HP is at least 100% after acting. Is Leonora's BT necessary? Well, normally for support units, I would say yes, but with how many good support units are coming this month, and seeing as Leonora's main functionality for healing and follow-ups is basically the same, I would actually recommend you to save your BT materials for other supports that are more dependent on their BT. Arciela, Ignis. Just up to Leonora's FR can still get the job done for Black Crystal missions if you really need a force charger. Should you pull for Leonora? Let's start with what she does good. First is party last stand. Defensive wise, I think that's a great effect to have. Second off is the fact that Leonora is, I think even in JP, still the only Black Crystal FR charger in the game. She has that going for her. Both are really nice, but I want to talk about some other things that I like about her. I like that her charging skill not only extends her own buffs, but the party's buffs as well. I don't know how practical this is. But it's cool that she can extend the buffs of other units. From my experience, I really haven't seen that much, let alone from an FR charging move. Being able to heal the party, and also she has healing up effects that boost your healing even further. Yeah, she got a lot of healing. On the cons, being able to revive people over and over again, it sounds good on paper, but when you actually play the game and you realize that when your units get revived, their stats get reset. So if you have a BT effect on, if you have the FR effect on, those go off once they get revived. So the ideal scenario in a fight in Op Roundia is that you wouldn't even want to get KO'd in the first place. You want to stay alive the whole time. That's why I think instead of having revive, I think having immortality like with Rem's BT, that would be much better. I've changed my tune on a revive. I know what I said in my pull plans video, but I don't see much value in being able to revive people, even though you can do it over and over again. Second off, it's not the biggest con in the world, because the fact is she can still FR charge and she still is the only Black Crystal charger in the game. This isn't so much as a con, more so a slight annoyance for me. When I FR charge, I would like to get up to 100% as fast as possible, and the fact that Leonora has a follow-up attack that triggers after every single move, not just from her attacks, that results in her FR charging slower because you are still attacking. It's not that big of a deal because the fact of the matter is she can still FR charge. That's one of her main selling points, to be honest. The last con I would say is when you look at her force conditions, you know, the HP being at least max with with Leonora's healings, you more or less got that in the bag already, albeit if there's no HP poisoning happening. That being said, her first condition of having an overhead is a bit restricting. Thankfully, anyone having an overhead will fulfill that condition. It's not just magic units or melee units like with Astos or Luck. It's a bit more generic than that, but still, the overhead condition is slightly restricting in some people's rosters, especially people just starting out in the game. I wish it was just a bit more generic. What are you guys' poll plans on Leonora? My plans personally is I'm gonna try and ticket that FR. However, I'm gonna limit my tickets to around 100 because I need to save the rest of those tickets for Ida because Ignis completely destroyed my gem stash. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!